my goal and motivation here is to help someone. I love doing that. I think that's what honestly makes me feel good. It's my selfish gain right out of this. But one of the biggest challenges and fears that I faced as a dancer, particularly coming up, I really wanted to dance like the people I aspired to be like, I suppose. And I would watch these professionals and go, oh, I want that. To do that meant we had to travel overseas. We had to spend the big money, drop the dollars, and fly over the out of the pond, over the pond into another country, mainly around Singapore, and then of course a hop, skip, and a jump into Great Britain, where the big action happens. Right, Blackpool Dance Festival is the most prestigious long-running competition in the world, and it is known to be the pinnacle and the penultimate competition for any dancer who is serious about their competition, dancing, and dance sport. So to get there represented a challenge on many, many fronts. Okay, so there's always the internal problem of your own limiting beliefs. Then there's the external problems like money, the opportunity to make money, the partnering issues, coach, teaching. Like so much has to line up externally. And then there's your overarching philosophy. This is the way to think about things, I suppose. So your external circumstances, you can have a large degree of control over because of the way your internal dialogue and the way your internal sort of self works. And then, of course, your own overarching philosophy of how your internal self works. So, for example, the objective, the goal, get to England. I've got to do this at all costs, right? I want to get there. It was a deep desire. It was something I truly wanted to do. And it was going to happen. I just didn't know how. So that's sort of where you want to be with, you want to align yourself with something like that, whatever that looks like for you. Okay. The internal struggle is, am I good enough? How is that going to possibly be a thing I could do? I mean, I'm just me. How can I make that a reality? Look how good those people are. So there's the internal struggle, the limiting beliefs wrapped around the goal and objective. Then there's the external things, right? So how are you going to get the money? You need to put in the time to do the work. You need more resources like costumes, which again cost money. You need to get more lessons. You need to allocate the time to make those lessons work and then digest the information, then practice what you learn, and then go to more competitions. You have to up the ante there. And then the overarching philosophy is like, okay, how do you handle the loss at competitions? How do you handle the rejection of people saying you're not good enough, to your face? Maybe competitors do that. Maybe your coaches do that. Maybe the adjudicators do that. Maybe there's just some dirtbags out there that just want to pull you down. So you have to have an overarching philosophy for failure that helps you to guide yourself through all of those challenges on the pathway to the goal. So how did I overcome that to get there? Well, there's also a strategic approach. So for example, I'll deal with that today. I think that's the main thing I want you to take away. So one of the strategies that I deployed was, okay, my problem was I didn't have money to get to England. How would I do that? Well, you can borrow money. And I did that for one comp, and then I paid it back, borrowed it from my dad. The second time to raise money, I decided to put on an event. So this is the strategy. Now, you're still going to come up with these problems of your internal beliefs, the external problems that you have to overcome to make the thing a reality, and then the overarching philosophy of what guides you through the process. Okay, so setting up the event, the outcome of that was to make a shit ton of money to fund a competition field dance craze, yeah? Okay, so how did this happen? Well, I had no experience in the event space. I had a network of people I could leverage in the sense of people who knew what I did and what I could be about. I was working in real estate at the time, so I knew that if I structured the event correctly and we had an auction, we could make way more money than the ticket sales. So some of the mistakes people make when they get into this, by the way, is they look at the event they're doing and they try and just make money and cover all costs off ticket sales. You need to have tiered ticket sales to begin with, right? That's often a good strategy. So you've got one price at 37, one price at 99. That's going to exponentially multiply your profit if you sell everything out. You have to limit the capacity so you can maximize profits, but also create scarcity. So that's a marketing tactic. So selling 100 tickets at $100 is going to net you 10 grand, but then you've got food, so that's going to be probably 5,000. Then you got hall, that's probably 1,000. So you're left with 4 grand, right? So 10 grand, people don't understand this. They're not in business. Look, you make 10 grand. You don't make 10 grand, right? You take out your expenses, food, rent, then you've got 4, you get taxed on that, right? So you get taxed at your tax rate, maybe another 1,500. So what, now you're left with like 2,500. So you're not really left with very much money, right? Okay, but you're not broke, and you're not broke. You've beyond broken even. So the point is now you got to leverage the opportunity of being in front of that audience. And the way I saw that was I would create an auction of 10 items with the goal of raising like 5 to 10 grand more. And I would go to people who were head business owners first of all, because they good free promotion, and I would get them to volunteer something, right? So it could be like a package for a day spa. Another one was a ride in a Ferrari. I knew a rich orthodontist who had one. And then what was another one? I can't remember now, it was so long ago, but you get the idea. So on the day then, I had a well-known person do the auction on the day, and we raised another 5 to 10 grand. So therefore, we covered our expenses for Blackpool and our return trip. But you see, it wouldn't have just happened from the event. So you need to be strategic. Now, guiding that was still, the external problems were, who's going to give me the products to auction, right? Are they going to want something in return? Yes, marketing. So you have to overcome those external things, but they can all be done if you have the drive. The internal problem was, oh my God, like this is risky. Like what if it happens? What if I fail in front of people and it doesn't work out? Turns out nobody cares about what you're thinking. Nobody's really thinking about you. That's your own ego. Don't worry about what is happening. It's actually really good to fail in front of other people, because this is something I learn almost every week. It is okay to go public and fail. In fact, have the balls to do it, my friend, because the more you can do that, the tougher you get, the more you can tolerate, the greater the risks you're able to take, which means you can put yourself in position for better opportunities and then create better opportunities in your life that give you access to things that you never thought possible. That is a philosophy. You see what I'm doing here? So you have the internal struggle of like, what are people going to think? What am I going to think of myself? I don't want to fail with people, but then you justify it with a philosophy that helps guide you past that problem. This is one of the secrets to overcoming the fears and the challenges that I had that enabled me to go from a little small town here in Australia all the way to the big leagues in Blackpool, which then became, you're a little fish in a big pond instead of being a big fish in a small pond, which is a way better position because you know where you truly stand in the world scale. You also then know what can be possible for you and what potential you can actually access for yourself. So I hope that helps you. I hope it makes sense for you. What I'd encourage you to do as a result of this is to ask yourself, what could you do for yourself that could stretch you, like pull you out of your comfort zone a lot more, and to also not really care so much what people think of you, because they're not really thinking, and they're also not really thinking of you ever, okay? Even if you have a gigantic flopping failure, they'll think of you for a second and then off they go to the races. And I learned that harshly in business a lot. People aren't thinking about you, man. Even if you invest in them for years, and you know who they are and you work with them as clients all the time, they'll ghost you, right? They'll disappear. It just happens. So it always will come back to the fact that rather than giving up who you are as a person for the sake of other people, which you often hear from people, do it for you. Do it for the right reasons, help other people along the way. But if people aren't going to support you and that makes you bitter, then maybe you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And I think in dancing, that applies a lot. So make sure that you are aligned in yourself for what you want, for the goals that you want, find the right people around you that support you, and then figure out what internal beliefs you need to change to make that a reality, what external struggles you're going to have to solve using strategy, like I gave with that finance example, and then what philosophy will guide you through that. Okay? Hope that helps you. Any questions in the window for me? Write them now, because this has been awesome, at least from my perspective, because it's fun to just come on these things and see what's going on. If you'd like to have any questions about your dancing answered, you got 20 seconds. I'm going to leave it up, get a bit of music. And if not, visit boringmastery.tv. Check out the free masterclass that's there and other content on the blog that will really help elevate your dancing to another level. So let's give this another second. Put on some music for the thinkers. We're about to finish or go go into a gladiator pit. It's one of the two. That song is so intense. I feel like I'm about to go to battle. Anyways, listen, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching live. You guys rock. You girls rock. Thank you. I'll see you next time.